YouTube. So today is going to be another fun day, and that is because it's going to be an install day. As you guys can see, I got a clutch kit here from ACT. It is the ACT SB7XXXTS. I think it's the extreme pressure plate version that's rated up to around 350 foot-pounds of torque. So again, like always, got a good deal on this. You guys can see it is used with some dirt marks and peeling paint, but check the clutch. Looks like it's still has a lot of life in it, as well as the flywheel. It is coming with a streetlight version, and just looking around the flywheel, it doesn't seem to have that much burn marks, and it's pretty smooth as far as I can see, so that looks good. I've also checked the pressure plates, same thing, still looks good. So hopefully this will work out just fine. And in addition to that, I've also gotten a good deal on the BRZ clutch fork. So this is a stronger version. It's usually recommended when you guys upgrade to a higher rated kit, because the stock one tend to bend and even break. And along with that, the I think they call it the pivot. So the guy had this two together and sold them for a pretty nice deal, so appreciate that. And I believe this is, yes, the BRZ. So now the reason for the ACT is because it is the cheapest and the fastest one I've found. There's really no particular reason why I chose it, but I've heard good things and some bad things about it. The good thing is it was a really good deal. I wasn't expecting it to come with this, but the guy just kind of shipped it in there without even telling me, so I appreciate that. I didn't have to go to the dealer and get a new one. And also, this seemed like it's still in really good shape as well. As well as this. Also got, the thing I did get brand new is the MTech ship springs. So I've heard a lot of good things about this. And if I was going to take out the transmission, I thought I might as well change that as well, because a lot of people have problems installing that. Well, they strip the bolt and then things happen. So I'll probably have more leeway to work on that when the transmission's off, to avoid that. Other than that, some supporting stuff. I got the bearing grease here, some gear oil, and I believe I purchased this a while back. I don't even remember. I believe it's what you use to drain the fluid. Some Loctite, anti-seize, and just keeping organized in this small table, my tools and stuff. Don't forget the Ziploc and Sharpie. Okay, some zip ties, torque wrench, wrenches, mirror, probably for exhaust leak. I can't find the magnet though. So there's one just like this, but I couldn't find the magnet. Damn it. So currently I am still in the OTS tune, which is the off-the-shelf tune. It does come with two maps, a 91 octane and a 93 octane. I'm currently running the 91 octane, which is rated to around 250 horsepower to the wheels. So I did try running the 93 octane, but with something called an octane booster. The one that I use is called Lucas, and from what I read online and research, that it does boost your octane ratings to around 2 to 3. So when I started using 93 octane tune, the clutch was slipping hard at around 4th gear, 5th gear, and even 6th gear. So that was no good, because I am planning to run E85 on this thing at around maybe 10 psi, rated to around 330 to the wheels, and that is the reason for that upgrade. Now probably what would happen is I did buy a boost controller as well, used but new, unused basically, and planning to put that in there. Hopefully I could get some pulls at around 14 psi. That is that should be able to put out around 400 to the wheels, but I am not gonna run that on a daily basis. Probably like 1 or 2, just to see what it feels like to have that much power of a car. But other than that, I'll turn it down to 10 psi and live with that as my daily. So with the intro out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and install this, or at least try and install it as fast as I could, because I can only work on the car during weekends and it's my only car, so I need to get this done by Monday because I have work. So I apologize for keeping this car dirty, but been really busy at work. You guys can see, oh my goodness, that is disgusting. But if I finish this today, which I hopefully will, I'm gonna go ahead and give this car a car wash. But so the first thing I'm gonna install is, of course, to lift up the car. Now I can't stress enough how important to have a high jack stand, or it's called a high lift jack stand. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube working with small jack stand, and it's, oh man, it's I see them struggle trying to get bolts out because they don't have enough room down there. So with this high profile one, I have a couple of feet, maybe around 2.5 feet to work on. Makes life a little easier, as well as a low profile jack is needed. So yeah, a little good tip: get yourself a high profile jack stand, make your life easier on you. So a couple of issues I hope I don't run into. The kit I bought did not come with the supplied bolts that come with the ACT. So if I remember correctly, these are supposed to be they have a supply bolt that comes in a hex key socket, as well as a couple of bolts for the pressure plate. Hopefully I can reuse my stock flywheel bolts as well as the pressure plate and call it a day. But if not, then I am in trouble. And in addition to that, I only have 2 jacks on me, this big one and the small one. I was gonna buy a transmission jack, but it's $100, and I'm a low budget kind of person here, so hopefully I can make this work. Maybe stick a couple of bricks in there and use the small one to lift the engine up, because the transmission does tend to keep it balanced. So if you take out the transmission, the engine tends to kind of sway that way, which would not help with the installation, because you want them to perfectly line up along the spline. So hopefully we can go through those obstacles and tackle them one by one, and you guys are gonna be able to see the struggles on hand. Right, so under the car, the first thing I'm gonna do is take out both of the under panels, the aluminum one and the, I believe it's fiberglass. So take that off, and I do want to take that off and hope to see that I still have my 10mm socket somewhere in there, because I dropped it trying to finagle the wastegate actuator arm for the turbo. So I did hear a bunch of clunking in the road one of these days, and hopefully it's still in there, because I don't have another 10mm ratchet. And then after taking that off, I'm gonna go ahead and take off the front pipe as well as the mid pipe to give some room for the transmission and the drive shaft to fall down. Alright, so I'm not gonna go in detail on how to do those, because there's a lot of videos online, as well as the ones I did on the installation of these pipes, front pipe and the exhaust pipe. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and update you guys right after. Alright, so an update: I got the under panel off, as well as the front pipe and the mid pipe. Now you don't really need to take out the mid pipe, but I did anyway, because I do want to align my exhaust tips to make them a little more even. And also little tip that I got from YouTube from another channel, I forgot the name of it, but zip ties, or not zip ties, zip locks are your friend. So label them so that you can keep organized your stuff and you don't lose them everywhere. Just like so. So it frees up a lot of room here with the mid pipe and the front pipe off. And then underneath the transmission, you do have the fill-in bolt here and the drain. So one problem I did encounter in Again, I showed you guys the wrong one. It's actually a 10mm hex thing. So one problem is that this is too big. I think it's a 1/2-inch drive, so I did need an adapter in my regular ratchet to fit it. But I couldn't fit it in there with the adapter. It was too long, and it's hitting this thing. So what I did is to actually use my torque wrench right over here. Now, it's usually not recommended to loosen up things with a torque wrench, but in this case it's not torqued as much, and it's kind of a one-time thing, so it should be alright. So I was able to loosen that bolt. Now I can just freely rotate it to drain the transmission. Usually the first thing you would do, and again, the nice thing about this high lift jack stand is that you can get a bucket, if anything, and put that underneath whatever you're draining. I did that for my oil pan, and usually it lessens the chance of causing a mess, because you know you don't have this much clearance now compared to a big one if you have a small oil pan. And all you have to do is loosen it up, and you should be able to drain fluid. So the first one is the top. Give it some air so I can drain it from the bottom. So then I'll give it a little bit of time to drain the top, and then I'm gonna go ahead and open up the bottom. Yeah, all I have to do is loosen it up. It is a short bolt, so get ready. Hopefully I don't make a big old mess here. Here we go. Come on. Bam. Simple as that, and right onto the bucket. Voila. There we go. So I'll just let that drain for a while and start removing the drive shaft. So one thing people do complain about is transmission fluid smell. Now in my case, this one doesn't smell that bad. It's almost smells kind of fruity, like expired fruit of some sort. I just can't pinpoint what kind of fruit, but I don't really mind it. I mean, it doesn't smell good, but again, it doesn't smell that bad to me. Working on this, the rain did start coming in. That looks pretty harsh. Ooh. Anyway, back to the table. So I went ahead and closed the garage because the wind was pushing in the rain. I was getting wet. And again, if you guys ever do this, make sure you do keep these oriented properly, because they're different sizes. The longer one's going to be the one for the bottom, and the shorter one will be the one on top. Alright, so on to the drivetrain. Now to remove the drivetrain, all you need is a 14mm bolt, open end, and a socket, and that should come off. One of the things is to use your handbrake so that stays put, and twist it at first to whatever position you can get to those bolts. And in my case, they were actually really easy to take off. Take that back, they're not easy. The first two were actually easy, but these two are now really stuck in there. But yeah, I'm gonna need to take those off with something else. So again, 14mm. This is a 14. This is a 15. Where are you at, Mr. 14? Alright, so I got the drivetrain off. Once you do take out those bolts, it is going to be kind of somewhat stuck in there. So all you got to do is hammer it gently with the mallet, and it should loosen up. And the last thing you need to do, take out that drive shaft. Have I been saying drivetrain? Oh, but anyway, drive shaft is to take up the support, and that should just come right out. So once those two bolts are out, the drive shaft comes right out. you can just pull it out, and then there it is. I usually put the bolts back in so that I don't lose them. They just stay there until I'm ready to put it back on. So that is it as far as the drive shaft. I'm gonna slowly tackle the transmission. Alright, so I got most of the stuff off, and another easy thing that kind of went through is I already have the IRP short shifter, so I didn't really have to take off my center console because I didn't have to. I've already done that a while back while installing this short shifter. So the only thing I did was to take off the clip on the bottom that connects to the transmission itself. Now make sure it is on neutral before you take it off so that you don't have any trouble putting it back on. Other than that, it's time to move on to the transmission. I think the first thing that I'm going to do is take off the starter, and I will go from there.